Alright guys, Technical here back again today, and yesterday Kroenke CDL Intel came out with all the rumoured rosters, or at least all the current rumours he has heard, including rumours surrounding the final 4 teams that we will go into today. We've had the, well, not necessarily confirmed of course, but we've had rumoured full rosters for 8 of the teams. Of course, we're capping at 12 teams for the CDL this year, meaning that there's 4 teams remaining that we didn't really have too much idea about. Today, we have some rumours surrounding those teams to go through. So like if you guys enjoy the video, subscribe if you're new as always. Very late here, so hopefully the lighting isn't too bad. At least you should be able to see my face. Regardless, yesterday and continuing today, there is this TST Movember Throwback Black Ops 2 LAN tournament. These are the teams at the top of your page. These were yesterday's results. It's continuing tonight. I'll leave the link to the stream down below. And interestingly, 6 out of 7, which is effectively the old kind of complexity team, without like TP, but regardless, still a crazy team. They actually lost in the very first round to Eagle Slayers, including Machilla, 2-Pack Thuglord, T-Tiny, but you know, they bounced back in the losers bracket by taking down Retirement Home, no problem at all. So anyway, pretty interesting. And just to go through with this, thanks to Blazkicks for pointing this to me out on Twitter. This image right here, let's make it bigger for you guys. Hopefully you should be able to see this if it loads in just a second. Gunless T2P was the name that Gunless was rocking, of course playing with Envoy and Arcetes, and of course the rumoured team is Gunless, Envoy, Arcetes, Scump and Formal. So another indication that that's the team we could well be seeing announced on Chicago in the coming days here. Now, we haven't had too many rumours around, you know, Chicago saying that an announcement is imminent, as we have from Seattle and also from Toronto, so keep an eye out from that, and actually Paris as well, which we'll go into a couple of minutes time. So moving onwards here, this is a pretty interesting observation that a couple of people have been pointing out to me, so I didn't want to give a particular individual credit, but it's something to consider. So Bance has changed his name here, if you guys haven't noticed, to Bancy Castle, which used to be his gamer tag back in the Black Ops 3 days, hasn't used it for a long time. Now, if you notice, the capitalized letters he's used here are N, Y, and C. Now, either this is just some sort of bait, or he is implying, or at least kind of give us a little bit of a hint, that he's going to this New York team. NYC, New York City, kind of makes sense. From based on what his tweets are, I'm home, patience is key, whatever. And yeah, he changed his name to he said, what's good Twitter, and changed his name to capitalize the NY and the C. He could be baiting here. Of course, the New York team has already been confirmed, so he's not going to be going as a starting player, but potentially going as a substitute, right? That's my thinking. Of course, Zero is on that team as well, and as you can see in his header right here, Ban's right next to Zero when they won Stage 1 playoffs, of course. So they have some history together. I think Bance would be a pretty damn good substitute, one of the most, the winningest, whatever, Call of Duty players in European esports history, and has probably the highest average results of any player. Maybe Zero is better now. But in terms of making grand finals, Bance is right up there and has done it a lot in the past. So he'd be a pretty damn good substitute. And maybe this NYC is an indication that he's going to be going to New York City as a sub, because we don't really have too much to say right now about who's going where as substitutes. So it's an interesting thing to keep your eyes on as days go forward. Now, Slacked has been having his wedding, and this is an image that came out of it. So we have Slasher here on the left, JCap, and TJ. And I thought this is pretty interesting. They all look hella suave. And TJ looks like he's like an intern at a bank or something, you know what I mean? It's pretty funny anyway. But regardless, these 3 of course are rumoured to be teaming on the Los Angeles Immortals team, right? Slasher reuniting with TJ from the Rise Nation days in World War II, joined by JCap, joined potentially by Dashi over here somewhere, and the final player is Kenny, supposedly. So this could be the core 3, or it depends. The core is always a difficult thing to determine what exactly the core is of a roster, but these could be 3 players on that team. So thought this is kind of a funny image. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yes, moving onwards here to with Merck. We don't know what's going on with Merck right now, and JP just does a tweet. You can see in this image here with this sign that says Merck on it. Intel, Call of Duty, Kroenke says that downtown Dallas. Merck does a little tweet, and we're thinking, okay, what exactly is going on here? Of course, Merck has long-lasting relationships with Envy, with Hastro from that team before. Who knows whether he's taken up some sort of position at some franchise organization rather than remaining part of the talent, because JP has done that kind of thing. He's gone from MRG being their stats guy, moving now on to working as an analyst with the New York City franchise. So it's possible that Merck may be considering a route like that, right? Maybe not being a caster anymore, maybe moving into one of these franchise teams, organizations. Now, that's a rumor I've heard for a little bit now, and I don't know, Merck maybe is just baiting about it. Of course, a really smart guy, so can't take anything he says without a pinch of salt, but just to keep that in mind, that could be something we see in coming days. This is something to mention as well, related to Dallas. Someone replies with the rumored roster, tell me I'm wrong. Dallas CoD says you're wrong. Now, I don't know whether this actually means anything, because when someone says tell me I'm wrong, they can just say you're wrong without necessarily rebutting the content of the tweet, I guess. But anyway, thought I'd run that past you guys just in case that roster isn't true, but I reckon it is. This from Atomic CoD pointed out to me as well that B-Sport Josh tweeted this out. I can't wait to help people become the best version of themselves next season, implying he's got some sort of coaching role or something like that lined up for next season, so keep that in mind. Moving onwards then, two big announcements over the last day or so that I haven't mentioned so far in this video. London CoD, the entire roster is now officially confirmed. Jerd confirms it here that he's joined London CoD, and this is the video that goes along with it. I'll play you guys the video for both of the announcements in just a second here. So Jerd's on the team as rumoured, in addition to Rated. So Jerd and Rated joining the squad. So the team is going to be Scraps, Wuskin, Dylan, Jerd and Rated. I don't want to go into the roster today. I'll expand on it in more detail tomorrow unless something mad happens. Want to do another roster rating video and look at that team in more depth and see what you guys think of it. I'm sure you'll leave your thoughts down below in this video, but maybe save them for tomorrow or the day after when we have a little bit of a more in-depth discussion. So I'll play you guys the videos.
This is a district line train to Wimbledon.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform.
This is St James's Park.
Racing behind, shots back, there's another one down. Rated for number 19, his teammate takes it.
It's long Prestini shooting it down. Race can be 3 players it down, it's all to Rated. Rated fights the double with the machine pistol. He's gonna...
Hello guys, I'm very happy to announce that I'll be representing London in next year's Call of Duty Franchise League. I'm super excited to play alongside Scraps, Dylan, Wuskins and Jerd. I believe with the support and staff we have behind us and the support of you guys back at home, we're ready to put Europe back where they belong.
So pretty cool. London CoD seem to be stepping up their content game a little bit better than just a simple announcement tweet, but still not great by any means. Maybe they need a content manager. I wonder who could be good for that. Anyway, so the team is pretty diverse, right? We've got Scraps and Wuskin from the UK, Dylan from Northern Ireland, Jerd from Ireland, and then Rated from Wales. Maybe we'll even get a substitute like a Quicker or a Shawnee or something, and we'll have some Scottish blood in there. Would be pretty cool to see, right, to have the whole of the UK plus Ireland, I guess the British Isles, represented. So yeah, pretty damn cool, but we'll go into that, as I said, in more detail tomorrow. So these are the rumours on the final 4 rosters. Let's firstly go over the full current rumours for all the teams. This New York team is now confirmed, so that's set in stone. The London team is now confirmed. Those are the 2 confirmations we have. Then we have the Minnesota team, which we do have a confirmation of the first 3 players, being GodRx, Silly and Assault, joined by Brian Saint as coach. So that's one of the teams we'll look at in a second. This Atlanta team is apparently very likely. I'm expecting announcements regarding this team relatively soon, given that all the coaching staff in James Crowder, RJ the Sloth Bear and Easy Mac have all been confirmed for that one. Chicago's heavily rumoured, Dallas is heavily rumoured, Florida is heavily rumoured as well, and in the Los Angeles team that I just mentioned, and the Seattle one as well. So when these do get confirmed, I will start talking roster ratings for these, but these are the final rumours that to mention here. And just before we get into this, I wanted to mention this from CoD Paris, who just tweeted this out a few hours ago. Not going to try and pronounce that. My French pronunciation is not good at all. But basically, the team is signed pending league approval. Now, this is impressive stuff from Paris to have been able to put together a roster behind the scenes without anyone really finding out about it, especially Kroenke Intel. with all of the sources that he has behind the scenes. So these are the rumours regarding Paris. Zed, Dens, Shox, and maybe Luca. So this is pretty interesting, of course, from that old Reciprocity team. A number of those guys, well, Wuskin and Dylan, of course, have landed on London team. So where are Zed and Dens going to go? And of course, with Shox announcing himself as, you know, free reign to be signed, and of course Alex on that team as well, maybe Paris could be a home for those guys. Now, just to mention it, you're not seeing any really French names. I do believe that Kroenke said something interesting about Breezy. Apparently, like, Breezy, Paris told him like he was going to be a lock for the squad, and then they kind of strung him along a little bit, and now he might only be on the bench or something like that. So some interesting rumours coming out surrounding that team. And just to go on to this tweet right here, what Zeke says, effectively, let's just translate this for you guys real quick. So, looking forward to supporting France, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, effectively being sarcastic, looking at these rosters and saying, like, where are all the French guys? It seems from what we understand that some of the Spanish guys from the Heretics team are going on to the Toronto squad. So where exactly are the French guys? You'd have thought they'd have been on to Paris, right? Or at least a couple of them. I thought it would make sense to have them on there, but maybe if they don't speak the best English, the only guys that I know that really speak good English are the French guys is like Whalers and I believe it was Moles who was on a team with Marky B and Moose, like the Vitality team that tried to qualify for Stage 2 in the World War II season. Apart from that, I'm not really sure how good a French these, or how good at English these guys speak. And you're not really going to put together a full French squad because right now that's a team that is not going to be competitive for the league, right? But there's definitely a few very, very talented players in there. So maybe that's something they're considering. But yeah, Zed, Dens, Shox, maybe Luca, which would be really cool to get some Aussie representation for sure. Alex as well, I'm hoping he can get a spot. Of course, might be Midnight as Kroenke says. We'll go on to that in a second. Sensor was also rumoured to this team as well. So he says he doesn't know about that anymore. I've heard over 12 names for this roster. So who knows what we'll end with. So this is an exciting one. We actually will get a roster announcement which we don't know what the players are going to be, at least for the current time. Now, there's some also links for this the other LA team, other than the Immortals one. Aches, Decimate, Accra, and Saints are being linked. Aches did tweet he was an unrestricted free agent, so we don't know exactly what's going on there. I'm sure Aches will land somewhere. He doesn't seem overly concerned in his tweets at the current time, and I feel like he's got to be a staple for one of these franchise teams, right, to build around. Of course, Aches and Decimate coming off that NV team would kind of make sense. I think guys like Aches respect Saints as well quite a bit from what he's achieved in the past, and also still pretty damn talented player, so that's the rumours surrounding the other Los Angeles team. Of course, the other LA teams we'll go on to here in just a second is the TJ Dachi, Slasher Kenny, and JCab. Very, very scary roster. Minnesota squad then, of course, 3 of these guys have been announced. We need 2 more names. Alex is likely, though I've heard this name linked to Paris as well. Looney might have stayed in Toronto. If they don't get Looney, the other name I heard was Asim. Wasn't the best source though, so could be fake news. So maybe Alex going here would be interesting. Interesting, of course, from what Brian Saint was talking about, because I thought maybe he'd try and bring a couple of guys over that he's had in the past on the Midnight when he was coaching that Midnight squad. I thought maybe he'd be trying to bring over a Zaptius or a Royalty or something like that, but Alex is definitely a great pickup, and Looney on the team would be a good fit, to be honest, if they got him off Toronto. But right now he is still being linked to this Toronto squad along with Methods. Now I'm saying this Methods is the Methods Zinni. I don't reckon this is Methods Sick from the Heretics team. I'd highly doubt that. Brack is linked as well, Lucky Metals, and unsure if Journey is here. We did talk about that yesterday, that kind of, that theory that maybe Looney, given he's Mexican and getting some Spanish guys on the team, could be some sort of cultural language thing there that might help the team put together properly. And yeah, I'm pretty sure this isn't the Spanish Methods, which means that, yeah, I mean, I doubt it is. So Kleenex also being linked. So those are the rumours at the current time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new as always. Leave all your thoughts down below. Hopefully we'll get some more confirmation surrounding this stuff going forwards. I hope that not all of these rosters are correct, just so we can get something spicy. It's a bit boring really when an organization does a tweet saying, yeah, like, look who we signed, when we've kind of known that from these leaks for a couple of weeks. But it's interesting nonetheless, right? So anyway, thanks for watching as always. I'll see you next time.